Here and let's call the meeting to order. And first order of business is approving the 5 months minutes. So the board's had a chance to review 5 months minutes. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Jump to the next slide, please. So just a quick comment here, especially given the huge number of people on the call here. I just had a quick look at the membership numbers, and Lana could probably have told me this, but I'm going to figure that out. So I think the main point here is that we're all getting older, and it's interesting if you look at the right-hand end of the graph, you can see those are the years 2020. Oh, it says 2000 at the bottom, which is incorrect. I apologize for that. For the year 2020, 2021, and 2022, you can see the number of members who are in the 70, 80 age group and in the greater than 80 age group increasing as people get older. So that's an inevitable thing. And I guess it's a good thing that those people are still around. That's a really good thing. But if you look at the other end of the graph, I think you can see an important thing there, which is a pretty significant jump, especially between 2020 and 2021, of the number of members that we've got in the under 40 category and in the 40 to 50. And I think that's really, really good news. You know, we need those new members coming in. Those of you who play on the course have found there's a bunch of new and a bunch of very good golfers that have joined, and also a bunch of people in that age group who bring along their children, which is, I think, is a fabulous thing. You know, you can see that in the evenings, or particularly on Saturday and Sunday afternoons with people with their families in there. So this is really good news. I think we're seeing, you know, it's a fairly small change, you can see from the graph, but it's really good that we're recruiting these new members. And that our membership recruitment, thanks a lot to Lana here, is a strength for the club at this point in time. So well done for doing that. Thank you for doing that. I think that's a really good thing for the club, and we should continue to do it. Anyway, quick update. Next slide. Key decisions and votes. The slide is blank, but we'll update it with the one we post online. So Gary, our secretary, has 3 things I think we approved this month.
We have 4 things. The first was we approved an AFE for $8,150 for the replacement of the irrigation system pressure maintenance pump, motor, and the suction column. Second, we approved initiating the ballot for the board candidates and for the club bylaw updates. The ballot results will be reported at the annual membership meeting on October the 12th. The board approved updating our club policies and rules to include the club's preference is to leave bunker rates outside of bunkers. The club will communicate this update to members through the fairway views and publishing on the website. The intent is to get it published so members know what our preferences are, all in policy and rules area. And the fourth was the board approved to begin creating a waiting list for professional membership candidates to sustain the maximum number of 60 memberships when vacancies open up. We're currently at about 61 members, professional members. Club continues to prioritize full equity memberships, although over any other discounted memberships to achieve our membership cap.
Great, thank you very much. And we'll update the slides that we post so that reflects those decisions. Okay, finance, Laurie, Dan.
I'm going to start, and then Lori's going to talk about the forecast on the next slide. So I'll refer back to the numbers on the top left of the slide as I go through this. And but pretty quickly, we actually had a terrific August. Our net operating income was $45K for the month versus $29K. And really, the months of June through September financially are really key for the club. And so now where we really enter the last 4 months of the year in great shape financially. And I say that because our year-to-date net operating income is 194K versus a budget of 136K. Lori will talk a little bit more about the forecast on the next slide. So one thing I would just remind everyone, if you're listening in, is that you need to be above budget right now, because we do have the last 2 months of the year, November and December, we run out of deficit of a ballpark 60 or 70,000. So you need to be above budget at this time of year, and we are. And so we think that we're in very good shape from that perspective. I want to talk about, as far as a big credit to Chef, Kevin, and really the entire F&B team, front of the house as well as back of the house. I certainly, I honestly raised some alarm bells when we got to June results, because at that point, the F&B operation was 50K behind budget. In the last 2 months, they've recouped all of that and are now right at budget for the full year. Okay, and if you look on the right-hand side, just to make sure that everyone knows as far as that, our F&B operation on the course of a whole year is not paid to operate at a profit. We are not a restaurant. We are an amenity at our club. And actually, our full year revenues, it'll be well above budget. It'll probably be right in that ballpark of $1 million or maybe $1,050,000. And as far as, so if we operate kind of at a 9% deficit or so, we're in very good shape. Okay, and so you see that on the right hand side. The other one thing I did want to talk about is you see the capital revenue line, where the receipts from that have been 500 versus 420, and that's really driven by Landis great efforts on the membership side. So as far as, remember, if you've joined in the past board meetings, this year we moved 2/3 of our net initiation fees directly over into our capital fund, and so we're ahead of pace on that. And given the fact that as everyone I think knows, we approved the new HVAC system, which we're going to do in January. We actually we need a vibrant membership totals and we're on track for that as well. So great job, Atlanta, on that front. And then finally, on the Pro Shop has also had a great August. So really every functional area performed extremely well in August, and has closed their gap. Remember, as far as, so like Keith had a really tall order this year, because I'd like to remind everyone, we eliminated all the Tuesday to Thursday outside play and reserved all of that time for members, so we didn't have that anymore. Financially, it wasn't easy to do. It was about 120,000. Okay, Keith, as far as so I think had some aggressive budget targets, and is very close to being in line, and in particular made up a bunch of ground on the merchandise front in August. So Keith, congrats to you on that. And as far as we're going to keep that up for the rest of the year. For the watch outs, just to we've kind of said this the last couple of months, but just to update people on sort of where we stand as far as that. Payroll, just like any other business, has been a challenge for us this year. So we are a little bit of over budget on payroll. We like to think for the right reasons, as far as that we need to pay attention to see what the market is paying staff, and in particular key staff. If we don't do that, and if we don't pay people appropriately, you won't have people to serve you in any of the functions. So and by the way, and just to be clear, this really goes across a lot of the functions at the club. I've mentioned before, cooks in the kitchen, we did earlier this year. We recently made some adjustments on Jason's team, because we have several very key people that have been with us for a lot of years that were well below market, and so we've addressed some of those. So we're good, but the good news is that on the budget front is that our revenues are growing at a faster pace than our expenses, and so that's always a good thing to have. It gives us some operating leverage. And then secondly, I also wanted to mention on the F&B front is that I talked last month, our cost of goods sold for F&B blended between alcohol as well as food was 47% last year of our revenues and was 54% of our F&B revenues this year. I think, I also applaud Chef's efforts as far as that, he's out there, comparing prices between some of our vendors. He's exploring a new vendor as we speak, so that we can't make that problem go away this year. But however, I do think that we're making very solid efforts to manage that as best as we can. And then lastly, as far as we talked, I think 3 months ago that we were concerned as far as from the weddings because we had an open slot and so we actually projected our weddings to be I think 30 or 35K below budget because we had some healthy wedding revenue. And we also have some we sold one additional wedding for 2022, so that helped obviously, as well as robust revenue from the weddings that we've had in the last couple of months. We actually think we've sort of cut that shortfall down from the expected 30 or 35,000 to it'll be below 11K or 10K by the end of the year. So really good news on that front as well. Any questions online from I'd say from the audience, but I'll say online with regard to any of the financials or specifically any questions on any of the numbers?
No questions on that.
Okay, Lori?
Before you go to
Yes.
oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Before you go into the forecast, I need a motion to approve the August financial.
Motion to approve?
Second. All in favour?
Aye. Now, Lori, if you could please talk a little bit about the forecast.
Stand up for.
Yeah, I'll tell everybody.
Anyway, so we did some work with numbers through actual through July for our forecast revision on the budget. And you can see we are thinking net operating income potentially around $111,000. I can say August actual came in 16,000 ahead of what our projection was already. So maybe we're going to be at 130. But anyways, August was a really good month, so that really helps. We're pretty close in our budget in the final numbers, so we're pretty confident in how the budget was put together and having that over $100,000 NOI. But there were some things that we ended up being pretty big on the ups and downs in the forecast. The membership FME is higher than what our budget is. Our initiation fees are higher, which Dan touched on, which is helping support capital fund. And then our food and beverage sales are much higher. I talked a little bit in our meetings before that our social group of membership has spent $21,000 more in the month of August at the club than they did last year. So that's a pretty big turnout of chits and amount of people we're having come in. So that's great to see. And then of course we've had some downfalls to our forecast, which is payroll costs, keeping up with the amount of hours we need people to be able to serve all that food, and the market, of course, for staffing. And then of course we've managed throughout the whole year, even though it's starting to trend a little lower in the more recent months, but the cost of goods sold in the food and beverage area is still a concern. So I feel pretty good in a positive way of how we're gonna have actuals come in at the end of the year.
Right. Yeah,
That's all.
we have one question, which I think Dan's going to address here. What do we do with the dollars if we're $100,000 to the good?
Well, fortunately, Billy, we think that we're going to have that problem. That will be 100,000 to the good, and really, I would say. Do three things, but we won't decide all of this until the end of the year. Number one is that we will move a portion of any surplus to the capital fund. Right now, because we knew even a couple of months ago, A, where we set the budget, and B, how we were performing. Currently, we have 40,000 paid to be moved to the capital fund. I hope that number is higher. And then secondly, we will probably move a portion of that to our reserve fund. I think you're aware that last year, because of the surplus, for the first time, certainly in at least the 20 or so years I've been here, we did create a reserve fund to cover any future operating deficits, and we funded that with 40K. So I think we'll move a portion of that into there, and then finally a small portion that we would probably still keep in the operating fund, really just for cash flexibility. Does that answer your question?
So Phil, I guess partly tongue in cheek here says, what about paying a dividend? Question mark. And which is a reasonably fair question.
Yeah, no, I can. So, yeah, so on the with regards to a dividend, I actually just got that question when we sent out the email, which is still pending, by the way. We have the sale of the land sliver pending, and a member wrote to the board saying, hey, why don't that should be, did the board consider divvying that up? Back to the members. The answer is, we've been working with our bank on this, as far as is that the bank, when you do that, we're actually just going to be that all of the proceeds from that land sliver will go straight to reducing our long-term loan balance. And then with regards to any of the other amounts, is as far as that, I would just remind you, Phil, because you've been here roughly the same time I have, a little bit longer, is that we have many long-term neglected capital items that really there was no funds to address for a long period of time. Thanks to Mike Palumbo and the LRP team, we have a very robust list of capital items, and with a focus on, and you just heard Gary talk about it, because we just replaced the pressure pump in the irrigation system. I always remind people that the quote unquote new irrigation system is now 20 years old. And some of those items need to be replaced. But anyway, so certainly we think as a board, much more prudent to move a portion of that operating surplus into our capital fund to start addressing a lot of these long neglected needs rather than giving a dividend back to the members.
All right, that's very good, thank you. Okay, thank you, Laurie and Dan. So featured employee of the month.
All right, so our feature employee of the month this month is Eli. Eli is our dishwasher back there. He gets all the clean dishes or all the dirty dishes and he turns them to clean. Eli is 16 years old, originally from Mammoth. How do you pronounce that? Mammoth, I guess. Oh, there we go. He attends school at home. His current position is a dishwasher. Started back in February. His favorite part of Perry Park is the tater tots.
Yeah.
If it's so your aspect of Perry Park is a taste of, you need to let him get outside.
I know. I think he lives in the park, so I think that's not the biggest deal. Hobbies is music, snowboarding, and skateboarding. Let's see, let's move on to the funniest story. Kai decided to have him mop the freezer. So I don't know if you guys ever have to cruise with them, but they work out very nice. So pretty funny. All around good kid, works hard. You know, he's a great part of Perry Park's food and beverage team. He wants to become a cook at some point. So Eli is a great worker and look forward to him. He's gonna be working in the front house also. Here very soon.
Does he work every day?
He works Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
And I know we brought this up before, but I think it would be really nice if, when we have an employee of the month, if we could have them at the meeting as possible.
Yeah, if he was working today, I would have definitely had him. Come over.
Oh, no, we don't want to interrupt his dishwashing.
Well, this just brings up something else I had thought about was, you know, we do it here, it's in the Fairway Views, but it seems to me like we should have a dedicated place where they're recognized as people come into the club. So something to think about.
Okay,
Right, thanks, Chef.
you're welcome.
All right, committee reports.
All right. He came here, you guys would surpass Taylor Tots for sure. So a couple updates, financially, merchandise sales were strong, so far 12,000 ahead of our year-to-date budget. Something I think that's pretty noteworthy. Our year-to-date budget was 50,000 more than we've ever sold out of the golf shop. Very much so. We've been pretty aggressive on that, and it's nice to see it. Yes, it's good to see that actually happen, because it was kind of optimistic. As we said those numbers. And then some recent success with a little bit of reciprocal play. So as our guest fees drop significantly without added golfers, and we also saw that our member fees forecast wasn't quite hitting what we saw. We leveraged a little bit of our relationships and connections with area clubs to, you know, for example, at Kissing Candles down in Colorado Springs. They send a group to hit the slow period of a Wednesday afternoon, which could equal $450 to our club, but also opens up that relationship for when you all want to venture out. They owe us a favor. And so just a nice little club to club exchange, but also financially has some serious benefits to us as well. So that's gone well. Some golf updates. We're kind of coming to the end of what we need to be a pretty good event season. A lot of enthusiastic participation in the events. I think we were able to make some tweaks and make those events more enjoyable for everyone that participated. One real note would be like the men's golf league on Saturdays. That committee got really involved. They had a whole lot of the off season, and that has come to kind of a close, but I think really increased the energy and the atmosphere for those events. So that went really well.
Keith, I have to interject. I think there would be a lot of enthusiasm from some of the men if they could hit into the big dinosaur.
Yes.
We just set up. Well,
Yes.
That came up, that looking at what you've done with the junior golf, it looked pretty exciting.
little kid camps. A bunch of beer and a dinosaur. What's going on? I like the beer part. Kelly and I'll run it. We got it. Monday outings have also done very well. So we're lagging a little bit behind our budgeted Monday numbers, but those have gone very well. Some of the lag there is, you know, we may forecast an event to be 140 player event. May have 100 numbers come to fruition. We can't really impact those numbers directly. They're contracted for 100, so that's kind of where we have to hold them to, but we can't force them to have more than that. So a little out of our control on some of that budget numbers, but something we'll do better with in the 2023 budget. Upcoming events are mostly not so much events, things to know. It's that time of the year, grass range is going to close pretty shortly. So, oh, what am I gonna do? I know. You get hit on the mat range. So September is the end of the grass range. That way we have time to let that hidden surface heal a little bit, get established before it goes dormant. If we continue to hit off of it as that grass starts to go dormant, we won't have one when we go back to hitting shots in the spring. So October 1st, that'll be closed. And then Jason, I'm sure we'll touch on this in more detail, but we'll start playing a temporary green on October 4th on the 18th. So we're reaching out to the Colorado Golf Association just to verify exactly what they recommend with handicap postings, most likely will still continue to post, possibly with a one-shot change, but we'll see what they recommend. Well, any questions?
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So you mentioned about Garden of Bounds Club. How do we know what clubs you've established in
If
relationships?
you have, generally, here in Colorado, quite extensive with all professionals, it's something I take seriously. But if you have a club that you want to go play, you just call their pro and try to do that. Same thing we would do here, as you could expect. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not great days to attempt to do that. But through the heart of the week, most of them are very good.
Great.
Right. Thank you, Kenny. Jason, Browns, Marines.
Good evening. So course conditions, got some rain coming tomorrow, which will be fantastic, which is kind of aiding us in the aesthetic of the golf course. Even though there's a ton of hard work that goes on, Mother Nature also helps dictate how green the golf course looks, how lush it looks, and any deficiencies in the irrigation system kind of disappear when Mother Nature allows for that. So looking forward to that. That'll help us out a little bit in a couple of troublesome areas over the last couple of days. That being said, we've had some nice 90-degree heat for recovery for our fall cultural practices. I think everything healed up very well, fairly quickly. But on the opposite end of that, we do have some potential for frost delays moving forward. Tee times will shift to 8:30 in October to help remediate some of that. But again, please check for tees, check the email notifications. We'll try to keep that policy in place where we give you at least an hour notice. From a staffing perspective, hopefully I've said this every meeting, but I would like to say Mike Idell, who's a long tenured employee here at Perry Park, has been a rock star throughout this last 4.5, 5 months, where we've been navigating without a second assistant or a secondary assistant. But I'm happy to announce that Jonathan Warchek has accepted the position. He'll come to us from with a background at the Broadmoor, as well as most recently out of Ballyneal. So really strong candidate, excited to have him join. He'll be here in mid-October. Outside of that, we're down an additional full-time and another part-time staff member, which will be difficult to replace this time of year as people seek to find year-round employment, whereas ours is seasonal. And most of our staff, they do maintain 2 jobs. So what they look for is that morning shift, which becomes more difficult to find as the landscapers lay people off and golf courses lay people off.
Hey, Jason, I'm curious as far as for your new first assistant.
Yep.
What do you feel like are the key? I mean, obviously he worked at 2 very prestigious clubs.
Yep.
And I was coming to Little Humboldt Perry Park. What's the key things that attracted him here?
So he's from the area originally. Holyoke, if many of you have not spent much time out there, is fairly remote. So he's excited to be back towards some level of civilization, I would say. But he's also very keen and mature in the fact that he understands there are 2 totally different conditioned golf courses as well, which he was quick to note and quick to understand. You know, what you can produce in Holyoke as a very, very firm lake style golf course, that's not going to translate 100% to Perry Park. So I'm really excited that he identified that himself. He's also a very good golfer and enjoys playing the game quite a bit. So hopefully everything goes super, super well. It's very calm. And again, probably
Through the whole year.
yes. Yep. From a maintenance and project front, happy that the board approved the FE for the pressure maintenance pump. As Dan alluded, that new irrigation system is 19 to 20 years old now. A lot of those components are and have been submerged in water for 20+ years, so we would anticipate seeing some deterioration and some failure. Many of the larger components have exceeded their, let's just call it, projected lifespan. So that's something that we've been working with LRP on. And this is actually something that was brought up several months ago, is evaluating the irrigation system. For those of you that did not know, we did pull a much larger pump and motor while we replaced the PM pump, just to get an inspection on that. A a lot of rust, what you would anticipate for seeing as something submerged in water for 19+ years, but nothing that gave us any major indication that it would be something on the very forefront of replacement. And that being said, I can't guarantee you it might last 15 days, it might last 5 more years. So something that we will delve into with LRP and finance here in the very near future. 18 green, excuse me, phase 2 of that will start October 4th. Water Gulf might be in a couple days, if not 10 days earlier, to start removing some trees to help expedite that process. Because what we're really going to be looking at when Kevin comes out is the visual corridor from your tee shot up to number 18. With that large mound of soil in the way, we want to be able to see that periphery on the left-hand side. So if we can get them to jumpstart without impacting any events, I think that would be very positive on our end. And then for our team, what we will be doing on the 4th is to strip the existing sod off of number 18 green and storing that in our nursery area for future use. Bent grass, as I was mentioning earlier, bent grass sod installed is about $2.25 a square foot. So that's about a $14,000 green worth of sod that's sitting there. So we wouldn't want that to go to waste. So, other than that, we're excited for the fall to hit, and we'll keep chugging away. Any questions?
You got some nice pictures.
Oh, yes, a nice picture, sorry. So that photo was taken a couple days ago, Monday, actually, yeah, standing on top of the large dirt mound. So what you see there is the green in the background, the bent grass approach that we basically relocated from our nursery area that we grew in last year, that wasn't ready to be installed during the initial sod install. So then we're going to utilize the sod that was taken out of that area, but on the golf course areas. The next photo is just a picture of the status of the green, which is growing in very nicely. And Board was able to take a quick tour of that today, and then just a shot from Monday's event as well, from row number 1 team.
Awesome.
I have another question. What about the water? Are we right where we need to be with the lake? What's going on with the water?
Yes, so with the lake level is where we need to be based on our communications on our calls on the river and on a spreadsheet that tracks a lot of that stuff. So that's where we trend and where we will be. The water year restarts in November, so we can start to fill at that point.
I have one comment online. Phil says, great job. Best I've ever seen a course in my 20+ years.
Yeah, Mother Nature helped a little bit with that.
Agree with Phil there for sure. But I don't have to years. Kind of put you on the spot, but I think you're noting to this group, as they're doing the work on 18 green in that whole area, will the cart path for number 1 still be the best way to get to?
Yes, they're gonna have to fence that off and grant access through there. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Lana. Diana, sorry.
All right, everyone. So August historically hasn't been a great membership recruitment month, so we budgeted accordingly, but we were able to meet budget. Currently, we are sitting at 192 full members, 2 non-equity, 3 corporate, 16 designee, 29 junior, and 28 centennial, which our professionals count as 0.5, 32 of them equal our FME as 302, or sorry, our cap is 302. We were able to recruit 1 full golf membership and 8 social memberships in August. So year to date, our social membership recruitment is been very successful. We are also able to attain 801 leads year to date. Our current initiation fee for full golf is 12,000, junior is 6, and social is 500, and we have acquired 15 full golf memberships at the 12,000 rate. As far as membership data by type, we're sitting at 534 memberships. And we do have a few on leave of absence, but this is just kind of a breakdown we are at 167 social and Centennial social memberships. As far as the budget, these graphs kind of outline that. So what we're supposed to be according to budget is 281.3 or slightly over at 284.6. So overall, that's great for the month of August. And then as far as retention, we did have 5 resignations in August. 40% of those were due to moving. And then we also had some non-use and other reasons, but social resignations year to date are 18 and golf is 32.
What were the, give me details on the golf issue?
Basically, it was kind of a conversion of 2 different issues, but golf issues just not being able to use it and then just being approached because of pace.
Okay.
August resignations are 5. According to not last year, we were at 4, but still our FNB number is above budget, which we're happy about. As far as marketing, we did have some advertising on Instagram and Facebook. We hosted 1 open house already in September. We're hosting another one on this Thursday. We're also advertising at the golf park. I'm not sure if any members still do Facebook, but please do sign up. We do have a member hub where we're posting tips from our beloved Keith and pictures from the course and other things like that. So just to kind of keep in the know of what's happening at your club.
Well, I think those have gone so viral. I think I saw it off. I can't.
Yeah.
So it's one of the odd reaches. Watch what you say.
Yeah.
We do have a end of summer campaign, which is getting a lot of attention for new members. Currently, our communication to members, that number's been going up. I remember years ago when I started sending out mass emails, we were around the 500, 600 email range, but as memberships go up and increase, we obviously have more emails that we send out. So 871 is the highest I've ever seen for a membership demographic. And the open rate is actually really good as well. So 641 is really, really good for our members to be reading our communications. And then we're still working on the membership with membership committee to produce a strategic plan. Continuing, so. Any questions?
No, nothing online. Thank you very much. All right, house, Jeff.
All right, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. The deck floor is definitely done. It looks great. Shout out to Joey with his hard work for that. A lot of work and effort in that to get that put together to where it's looking so well. Men's locker room plumbing issue. Several plumbing companies quoted between $6,000 to $26,000. Still kind of working on the logistics on that. Sunshade repair was done, so we can actually lock it down into place and tighten it up so the wind doesn't catch it, pull it in and out. So right now it's functioning correctly. Couple of the member events, I'm right in the middle of creating the menus for, well, I've done the Thanksgiving pre-orders. Everybody don't forget that we do pre-orders for Thanksgiving. Same as every year. Prices have increased just a little bit, but the quality of food is the same. Working on Candlelight Snowball and New Year's Eve event menus. I'm actually working on the new menu for the a la carte menu for the club right now. Highlighting the Oktoberfest. We have several different German beers. A very good amount of food for that. And then this weekend we have the Robert Hall wine dinner. We only have 15 signups. We were looking for more so we can hold this event. So if anybody's out there listening, sign up and try it out. On the staffing side, we just hired a new dishwasher to replace some of the people that we lost in August to go back to school. We do have 3 new food runners slash busters hired for the front of the house. And we are now working on the employee party for the 10th. So we're gonna get together, all the employees, do a little golfing event and dinner afterwards. And just to highlight a few other events that we have. We have the Sip and Swing from 5:30 to sundown on the 21st of October. And then Saturday, the 29th, we have a kids event from 4 to 6:30 with the costume party and pumpkin carving contest. So reservations are required for all member events. Do you have any questions?
I just wanted to add that Kevin will be wearing Lederhosen
Yes.
at the Oktoberfest, so something
That's
not
what
to
he's
be
saying.
missed.
Alone worth the price.
Tasted some of the beers. They are fantastic. If I could pronounce them right now, I would, but I don't want to even attempt. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's about what I got.
All right, great. Hey, thanks, Jack. All right, so there's no questions online. One opportunity for any comments, questions? Going once, going twice. So we have 2 upcoming board meetings. One is the annual meeting. We'll send a note out about that. It's October the 12th, and then the next board of directors meeting will be October the 18th. So with that, I need a motion.
Before you do, I'd just like to reiterate that on the annual meeting is when the announcement will be made of who the new board members are.
Right. Yeah. All right, I need a motion to adjourn today.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for joining online.